Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English and these are the details. Dozens of passengers were forced to stand on the wing of an American Airlines plane at Denver International Airport as they evacuated the aircraft after one of its engines caught fire Thursday evening, sending thick black smoke blowing into the air. The latest incident in spate of alarming aviation disasters and close calls which have stoked worries among flyers. American Airlines Flight 1006, a Boeing 737-800 en route to Dallas-Fort Worth from Colorado Springs with 172 passengers and 6 crew aboard, diverted to Denver around 5:15 p.m. local time. After the crew reported engine vibrations, the Federal Aviation Administration said in a statement.
We're going down the slide. Wow. It's like American. We're going down the slide. Wow. It's like American. We're going down the slide.
The Russian president hinted at a future phone call with Donald Trump and said he supported ending the conflict peacefully, but some issues such as who would police the ceasefire and the situation in Kursk needed to be analyzed and discussed. Earlier in the day, the Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov called the proposed ceasefire nothing more than a short reprieve for the Ukrainian forces.
Согласны с предложениями прекратить боевые действия. Но исходим из того, что это прекращение должно быть таким, которое привело бы к долгосрочному миру и устранило бы первоначальные причины этого кризиса. Кто будет отдавать приказы на прекращение боевых действий? И какова цена этим приказам? Вы представляете, почти 2000 километров. Кто определит, где и кто нарушил возможную договоренность о прекращении огня? На протяжении 2000 километров. И потом, кто на кого будет сваливать нарушение этой договоренности? Это все вопросы, требующие своего кропотливого исследователя с обеих сторон. Поэтому сама по себе идея правильная, и мы, безусловно, ее поддерживаем. Но есть вопросы, которые мы должны обсудить. Если мы прекращаем боевые действия на 30 суток, что это означает? Что все, кто там находится, будут выходить без боя? Мы их оттуда должны выпустить после того, как они совершили массу преступлений против мирных граждан? или украинское руководство даст им команду сложить оружие. Просто сдаться в плен. Нужно и с американскими нашими коллегами, партнерами на этот счет переговорить. Может быть, с президентом Трампом созвониться и вместе с ним пообсуждать. Но сама по себе идея закончить этот конфликт мирными средствами нами поддержана. Согласны с предложениями прекратить боевые действия. Но исходим из того, что это прекращение должно быть таким, которое привело бы к долгосрочному миру и устранило бы первоначальные причины этого кризиса. А кто будет отдавать приказы на прекращение боевых действий? И какова цена этим приказам? Вы представляете, почти 2000 километров. Кто определит, где и кто нарушил возможную договоренность о прекращении огня на протяжении 2000 километров? И потом, кто на кого будет сваливать нарушение этой договоренности? Это все вопросы, требующие своего кропотливого исследователя с обеих сторон. Поэтому сама по себе...
The Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said the Russian ruler Vladimir Putin was preparing a rejection of ceasefire proposal but was scared to say this directly to Donald Trump. The US President said that we have all heard from Putin's highly predictable and manipulative words, Zelensky said. Putin cushions Ukraine's ceasefire plans and sets out string of conditions.
Hello everybody, it's great to be with a friend of mine. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. Now, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars, we're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada.
We're there to make sure that we are ramping up to the production.
Why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber.
Тим більше, що зараз ми всі почули з Росії дуже передбачувані, дуже маніпулятивні слова Путіна у відповідь на ідею тиші на фронті. Він фактично готує відмову станом на зараз. Путін, звісно, боїться сказати прямо президенту Трампу, що хоче продовжувати цю війну. Хоче вбивати українців. І тому вони там в Москві обставляють ідею тиші такими передумовами, щоб взагалі нічого не вийшло. Або щоб не виходило якнайдовше. Путін часто так робить. Не каже ні напряму, але робить так. Так, що практично тільки все затягує та унеможливлює нормальні рішення. Ми вважаємо, що це все зараз чергові російські маніпуляції. Була американська пропозиція щодо безумовної тиші у небі, на морі та на фронті. Ми в Україні сприйняли цю пропозицію. Від американської сторони ми чули, що є готовність організувати контроль та верифікацію. І це реально забезпечити з американськими можливостями, з європейськими можливостями. І щоб за час тиші підготувати відповіді на всі питання про довгострокову безпеку та реальний надійний мир. І покласти на стіл план завершення війни. Тим більше, що зараз ми всі почули з Росії дуже передбачувані, дуже маніпулятивні слова Путіна.
US President Donald Trump said on Thursday that he was not going to change his mind on imposing sweeping reciprocal tariffs on all trading partners on April 2nd. He said that we have been ripped off for years and not going to be ripped off, Trump said during an Oval Office meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Trump has defended his use of tariffs, dismissed recent market volatility, and vowed that investors would eventually see gains for putting money to work now.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with a friend of mine. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada.
We're there to make sure that we are ramp up to the production. And
Why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And there's not a thing that we need. Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry, we have to do this, yes. And even the paying, it was at 2%, which is too low. It should be higher. Well, if they do a shutdown, and ultimately that might lead to very, very high taxes, because we're talking about a shutdown, we're talking about getting to work immediately on the greatest tax bill ever passed. That was the one we did. It was a renewal, and it's an addition to it. And we're going to cut people's taxes. And if we don't open, the Democrats are stopping all of these good things that we're providing. We're providing the greatest package of benefits that this country's ever provided. The biggest part of that's going to be tax cuts for the middle class and for businesses, small businesses, employers, people that hire people in jobs. And if it's shut down, it's only going to be, if there's a shutdown, it's only because of the Democrats. And they would really be taking away a lot from our country and from the people of our country. But my next meeting, the first meeting, you want to give them a little break. The second meeting, the people from Facebook were in yesterday. They're going to invest $60 billion by the end of the year. I said, no, I won't protect if you're not paying, if you're delinquent or if the money isn't. The European Union is very, very nasty. They sue our companies. Apple was forced to pay $16 billion on a case that, very much like my cases that I won. They shouldn't have been even cases, but we felt they had no case, and they ended up having an extremely favorable judge and decision. But they're suing Google, they're suing Facebook, they're suing all of these companies, and they're taking billions of dollars out of American companies, many more than the ones I just mentioned. And I guess they're using it to run Europe or something. I don't know what they're using it for, but they treat us very badly. China obviously treats us very badly. Almost everybody does, and I blame past presidents, to be honest. Would be kept and lost, and all of the other elements of a. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with a friend of mine. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years.
US President Donald Trump said that his special envoy Steve Witkoff is in serious discussions with Russia about ending the war in Ukraine. He said that hopefully they will do the right thing, Trump told reporters during the Oval Office meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark. The United States agreed on Tuesday to resume weapons supplies and intelligence sharing with Ukraine after Kiev said at talks in Saudi Arabia that it was ready to support a ceasefire proposal. Russia over recent days has pressed a lightning offensive in the western Russian region of Kursk against Ukrainian forces, which smashed through the border last August in a bid to divert forces from eastern Ukraine, gain a bargaining chip and embarrass Putin. Ukraine now has a sliver of less than 200 square kilometers in Kursk, down from 1,300 square kilometers at the peak of the incursion last summer, according to the Russian military.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with a friend of mine who was Prime Minister of the Netherlands. I got to know him very well. We had a great relationship always. At this moment, we have people talking in Russia. We have representatives over there, Steve Witkoff and others. And they're in very serious discussions. As you know, Ukraine has agreed, subject to this, what's happening today, to a complete ceasefire, and we hope Russia will do the same. The billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily, it should have never happened. We know where we are with Ukraine, and we are getting good signals outside of Russia as to where we are with Russia, and hopefully they'll do the right thing. It's really humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're not talking about the money, but then you add the money to it, and hundreds of billions of dollars is being spent and really wasted so unnecessarily, it should have never happened. He was a great Prime Minister of the Netherlands. He did a great job, and that's what he's doing right now. So thank you. Well, we'd like to see a ceasefire from Russia, and we have, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost, and all of the other elements of a final agreement. There's a power plant involved, a very big power plant involved. Who's going to get the power plant, and who's going to get this and that? And so, it's not an easy process. The governor, and we have Chris, Chris, supposed to be the most talented man in the world of energy, according. No, he put out a very promising statement, but it wasn't complete. And yeah, I'd love to meet with him or talk to him. But we have to get it over with fast. Every day people are being killed. It's not like, as we sit here, 2 people will be killed. Think of it. We don't need anything that they get. We do it because we want to be helpful, but.
Mr. President, some of our allies have said that they're worried that they could be the next to be attacked by Russia. You've spoken directly with the Russian president.
Yeah.
Do you think those fears are justified?
No, I don't. I think when this gets done, it's done. They're going to all want to go home and rest. I don't see it happening. Nope, I don't see that happening. And we'll make sure it doesn't happen. Not going to happen, but we'll make sure it doesn't happen.
The Germans now have potentially up to $500 billion extra in defense spending, and then of course you had.
Hello, everybody. It's
Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif visited Quetta following the deadly attack on the Jafar Express train in Balochistan. The Baloch Liberation Army claimed the responsibility for hijacking, which resulted in 21 civilian and 4 security personnel deaths, while the military reported killing 33 insurgents. Sharif attended a high-level security meeting and visited injured victims at CMH Quetta, urging the national unity against terrorism. The attack highlights the decades-long insurgency in Balochistan, where separatists target government forces and infrastructure.
गवर्नर बलूचिस्तान,
वेलकम यू ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर।
आज तो हमने इन बेरहम दरिंदों से इन मासूम पाकिस्तानियों की जान छुड़ा ली, मगर खुदा न खास्ता पाकिस्तान हम सब किसी ऐसे दूसरे हादसे के मुतहम्मिल नहीं हो सकते। उसके लिए हमें सबको मिलकर अपना हिस्सा डालना है।
and all general officers, all the federal ministers.
हमारे अंदर इत्तेफाक और इत्तेहाद होगा, उतनी दिलेरी और उतनी कमिटमेंट से अफवाज पाकिस्तान इन दहशतगर्दों का जल्द से जल्द खात्मा करेंगी।
बलूचिस्तान सर, कल से आपने
This House firmly condemns the hijacking of the Jafar Express and all acts of terrorism that endanger the lives of citizens and disrupt the peace of the nation.
All those in favor of the resolution may say aye. All those against it may say no. I think the ayes have it, and consequently the resolution is adopted.
Undermine our nation's security.
President Trump has reiterated his desire to annex Greenland, saying we're going to have a make it deal and think it will happen, he said. Speaking alongside Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, Greenland is an autonomous territory of Denmark and NATO ally. Elections in Greenland earlier this week were won by a party that favors a gradual move towards independence. Trump said it's a good gesture as far as elections are concerned. The person that did the best is very good person as far as we are concerned, he said, and going to have to make a deal on that. Denmark is very far away and really has nothing to do. And what happens? A boat landed there 200 years ago and they say they have rights to it. Trump further added that we really need it for national security, and he thinks that why NATO might get involved.
Question. Thank you, Mr. President. Greenland. What is your vision for the potential annexation of Greenland and getting them potentially
Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
There's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did, so when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there and we have to be there.
Well, we just had an election there the other day. Do you see a referendum, a plebiscite, where the people of Greenland would be in a position to decide if they want to become part of the United States?
Yeah, it was a good election for us, as you know. It was not a referendum. It wouldn't be called that. It was an individual election. But the person that did the best is a very good person, as far as we're concerned. And so we'll be talking about it, and it's very important. Mark mentioned the word icebreaker. So we've ordered, we're in the process of ordering. But that whole area is becoming very important. And for a lot of reasons, the routes are, very direct to Asia, to Russia, and you have ships all over the place, and we have to have protection. So we're going to have to make a deal on that, and Denmark is not able to do that. Denmark's very far away and really has nothing to do. What happens, a boat landed there 200 years ago or something, and they say they have rights to it. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it is, actually. But we've been dealing with Denmark, we've been dealing with Greenland, and we have to do it. We really need it for national security. I think that's why NATO might have to get involved in a way, because we really need Greenland for national security. It's very important. We have a couple of bases on Greenland already, and we have quite a few soldiers, and maybe you'll see more and more soldiers go there. I don't know. What do you think about that, Pete? So don't answer that, Pete.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu shares a pure message that heroes like you and the heroes of our people arose, and with cunning, bravery and courage we turned the tide. Israeli airstrike in the Syrian capital of Damascus. IDF targets Islamic Jihad command center in Syria, with residential building reduced to rubble and character left behind in the aftermath of the just strike. Israel's fighters continue to haunt pro-Iran militants. Lethal jets supporting IDF ground and artillery forces, combat aircraft providing the mission-critical intelligence. Islamic Jihad says armored struggle against Israel a must. Loud blast, smoke spread everywhere and house collapsed. And Israeli Prime Minister has released a statement on this in the local television.
כל פעם זה חוויה, אבל השנה זה חוויה מיוחדת. משום שמגילת אסתר זה ספר גאולה של העם היהודי מול הצוררים שקמים עלינו לכלותנו לכל דור ודור. בפרס, לפני 2500 שנה, קם עלינו צורר שרצה להשמיד ולאבד ולהחריט את זרע היהודים מעל פני האדמה. עכשיו, 2500 שנה לאחר מכן, קם לעם היהודי צורר באותה ארץ, וגם הוא רוצה להשמיד ולאבד את זרע היהודים מעל פני האדמה. וקמו לנו גיבורים כמוכם, הגיבורים של העם שלנו, ובתחבולות ובגבורה ובאומץ לב, הפכנו את הקערה על פיה, ואנחנו שוברים את ציר פרס. זה מה שקורה בימים האלה. כאילו ההיסטוריה חוזרת על עצמה, לפחות העם הוא אותו עם, וגם ההיסטוריה חוזרת על עצמה, בנס פורים החדש. הנס הזה הוא בזכותכם, בזכות חיילינו הגיבורים, לוחמינו הגיבורים, השוטרים והשוטרות, שבלמו את האסון בגבורה אין קץ, וישבנו מלחמה שערה. זכינו במדינה, אבל זכינו בכם. ואני סמוך ובטוח שכל אחד ואחת מכם.
The National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA and SpaceX have announced the plans to launch Crew 10 mission on Friday 7:03 p.m. EST, which is Saturday 4:30 a.m. IST, to bring back astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, according to a report. The announcement came just 24 hours after SpaceX has to scrub the initial launch attempt from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This mission marks a long-awaited return of Williams and Wilmore to Earth after an extended stay in the space. In the United States, protesters gathered outside the Trump Tower in Manhattan to demonstrate against the detention of the Palestinian activist and Columbia University student Muhammad Khalil. The demonstrators voiced their opposition, demanding his immediate release and highlighting concerns over human rights and free speech. Various activist groups and individuals participated in the protest, calling for justice and showing solidarity with Khalil. Authorities monitored the situation as the demonstration continued. And that's the end of the bulletin. Keep watching CVR News English.